Hello, welcome back to another video. In this video I'm just going to be recapping some books I've read in the past 2 months-ish that I don't feel suffice for a full book review. So I'm kind of just going to briefly tell you my thoughts and opinions on these books that I've read. Okay, so this is roughly the order I read them in. Starting with the one I read furthest back ago. Is that a better way to say that? Oh my god. Anyway, starting with that book, we've got Kitchen by Yoshimoto. This is a really good book. It's two short stories, but the first one's a lot longer than the second story, and it reads really nicely. It's like, especially the first story stuck with me quite a lot. Obviously because it is longer, but also just because, I don't know, something in the story and the writing that's really nice. It deals with topics like transgenderism and sexuality and loss and loneliness and friendships really, really well and very sensitively. Like, there are multiple moments in this book where I was very like close to tears and emotional. Yeah, and it's, I don't know, sometimes you read books and you do think, like, does this come from like the author's own experience? And this book especially, I was like kind of thinking, oh my gosh, like, did this happen to her? Because it was very like personal. I'm not super big on like political things in books. Like when a novel is very overtly pushing any sort of agenda, I'm not especially a fan of them. I prefer books that are more just about like general human conditions. And I don't know, when I read the book back of this, I was kind of scared it would be a very feminist kind of piece of literature, but it really wasn't, and it's just, yeah, really good, nice, quick, easy read that tugs at the heartstrings a bit. Okay, the next book is The Invention of Morel by Adolfo, Bioy, Casares. I don't know how to say his name. Prologue by Borges. So, you know, you're in good hands. I think this guy was a student of Borges's, and it kind of does show a lot in the writing. Like, this is what, how many pages? Literally like 100 pages. It's super easy, quick read. You can read in a couple hours. And it reads, yeah, like a cool, labyrinthian, twist and turny kind of maze of a book. A lot of different stuff happens in it, and in the space of 100 pages it paints such a nice picture. It really kind of reads like a movie, and I know a lot of books you can say, oh yeah, you can read anything like a movie because you can picture it in your head or something, but this one especially, like, you can really imagine this as a movie, like a sci-fi movie. Yeah, super intriguing and fascinating. And the ending of this book as well, like, oh, such a good ending. Yeah, check this book out, especially if you like something like Ex Machina, the movie. This book reminds me a bit of that. Or just like, yeah, sci-fi. If you like sci-fi, you wouldn't think this is a sci-fi book, especially from this cover, but it's very sci-fi. Okay, next book is The Glassmaker. So this book was recommended to me. It was recommended to me by my boyfriend's mum, and she really loved it, and it stuck with her a lot, and she said it stuck with her like the next like couple of weeks. She couldn't read a book after because she really loved this book, and then she gave it to me after she'd read it, and I was like, oh yeah, of course, I'll try and check it out, and I did. And it's quite a doozy. It's like, yeah, 400 pages, but it's not like an intense or heavy kind of read. So yeah, the plot of this book, it's set in Venice in, oh, it's on the back, Venice, it starts in Venice, 1486. And the concept of this book, which is quite intriguing, and it's what got me to actually read the book, apart from it being recommended, is this concept that I don't know who it is, the narrator or the main character, whoever, is like skipping stones through history. So we stick with the same family and the same main character over the course of, I don't know, 500 plus years. And the characters don't age that much, maybe like a couple years and then maybe like 30 years or something. But obviously through history they're travelling like 100 years. So that kind of intrigued me, and it made me think, and because it's about a family, it made me think, I don't know, 100 Years of Solitude or something. And it's really good. It specifically follows a Murano glass family, and it deals with how glass production changes. And obviously, it was like back in the day, it was the centre of glass production, and then with trade, it kind of became less that. And by modern day, it's very consumerist. And actually, this was written in, I think, quite recently, 2024, so very recently. So yeah, it goes all the way up to COVID, and how they deal with that in the family and stuff. So yeah, it's a super interesting book. And the concept, it seems, I don't know, for me it seemed interesting. I think for some readers it probably is a bit like, I don't know, difficult, but it really wasn't. And I think, honestly, I really think Tracy Chevalier, the writer, does a really good job of like bridging between the different time zones and not making it feel like overwhelming or abrupt. Obviously, like the changes in themselves are abrupt, but it's never like so much that you're taking out of this idea she has, and it never feels super jarring, or like when you read it, it's quite fluid and natural. It doesn't seem uncomfortable of a jump. And yeah, the book made me quite emotional, to be honest. There was like 2 or 3 times I cried. I don't know if it's just because I was emotional that day or something, but I don't know. There's a lot of moments where like something happens and Chevalier like writes one word and it just like destroys you. It's really, and that shows how good of a writer I think she is. Or it also shows the value of not overdoing sensitivity or melodrama, I think if you keep it succinct and powerful, that does so much more than like extending drama over like paragraphs or pages. So yeah, so those are my general thoughts on this book. Yeah, really good book actually. As I said, I think I said in my last video, I don't really read modern books, but I get recommended modern books because people around me read modern books, and this is one of those. So yeah, good book. Okay, the next book we have in here is by Grand Central Station, I Sat Down and Wept. What a killer title. By Elizabeth Smart. So yeah, I'd heard about this book before and I've been wanting to read it, and then I saw it in like an Oxfam charity shop or something. And yeah, I picked it up. And this is it's an autobiographical account of Smart's time with George Barker, a poet. She moved him and his wife out to where she lived in her house, can you believe it? Because she was so enamoured by how he wrote. And they moved in with her, and then obviously she was infatuated with him, so she had an affair with him. And she eventually had 3 kids with him, but he was very much like an adulterous person, and he had loads of different relationships. I think he had something like 12 kids, something crazy like that. And this is about an account of her time with him, mostly the early stuff up until the point she has, I think, her first child. I don't think it follows much after that, but I could be wrong. The thing is, it's written like a long verse poem. It's not written as like your average novel will say. So it reads like a poem or like a train of thought, poetically written. And yeah, I really love this book. It reminds me, of course, at times of like Sylvia Plath, another great poet. Because it just kind of follows a train of thought and goes to really kind of random memories in seeming non-chronological order at times. Like she's just thinking of things. She's like, oh, right, it's down, I'm thinking of this. Oh, this I'm thinking of. And there's like recurring motifs and themes and thoughts. But because they're recurring, it's like you don't actually know which of those thoughts you're stuck in. And for any one moment, it jumps to another thought and another feeling. And I think it's like, I don't know, it's also a testament to like how beautiful, like, if you just go with your feelings and you put your feelings on a page in a really organic way, it goes to show how beautiful that can be, and I think, yeah, this book is the perfect example of that. I saw online on like Goodreads people saying, oh, it's so like self pitying, but it's like, guys, it's a poem. Like, what do you expect? You expect her to talk about from someone else's point of view the whole time? It's her heartbreak. Like, what the fuck? So yes, I really recommend this book, especially, probably not always great to say this, but I think these two books and also the next book I'm gonna talk about appeal to the woman's psyche more than a man's, I'd say. I'm not saying if you're a man you won't like them or appreciate them, but I think you would appreciate them more if you're a woman, because yeah, they're written by women, and I think a woman can relate to them more easily than a man, especially like sensitive women as I am. Okay, the last book on here is also a modern book, and this is My Name is Lucy Barton by Elizabeth Strout. A colleague friend recommended this book to me and gave me her book of this, and I read it in a couple hours yesterday actually. And yeah, my person I work with, they said that they really loved this book, or they said that this author is one of their favourite authors, and I was like, oh okay, so again I was like intrigued to see what their favourite author was, and yeah, I quite enjoyed this book. It's quite sad, but it masks the melancholy in fragments of memory, in that our main character Lucy, she writes these very short chapters, sometimes only a paragraph long, that give us an insight into her life, and again it's non-chronological, especially towards the later half of the book, and you're kind of piecing things together and you don't get a full picture at all of her relationship with her husband, say, or why the marriage is falling apart, or her relationship with her parents or family. She comes from a very poor family with a history of abuse, and yeah, you get kind of flashbacks of what's happened, and really detailed, like good flashbacks, but you don't really know what the full story is or the extent of the abuse or how that really has affected her in the modern day. To quickly say the plot, it's like her mother, she's been in hospital and her mother's come to visit, and she's a very tumultuous relationship with her mother. It's been, I think, 6 years or something since she's seen her mum, or any of her family, and because she's sick her mother's come to sit with her, and yeah, they just have this very difficult relationship where they both have a bit of resentment towards each other, even though I don't think Lucy ever really says that or acknowledges that. And yeah, I think it's an interesting book for any like daughter and mother relationship, because even if like it's not to this extreme, I think it is an interesting relationship that does always have challenges. So yeah, in this book it's a nice, interesting way that it's done. I don't know if it's because I've been reading a lot of books set in the South right now or what, but this kind of reminded me of Faulkner. Am I crazy? Because it's written in a very like dry, blunt way, and it's non-chronological, so yeah, reading it so soon after like The Sun and the Fury, the Benji part, it kind of reminded me of that. Right, so thank you for staying with me through this video where I've just been ranting about what I think about books. Yeah, I like talking about books, even though I feel like I use the same 3 adjectives all the time. I'm gonna try really hard to be more eloquent, I promise. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you read some of these books, let me know what you thought of them, and see you in the next video. Bye!